Hello walls! Today is gonna be a very chill video, I really hope so. I'm just gonna talk about stuff that changed since I've joined BookTube or Bookstagram. I'm not gonna talk about what I bought, whatever, but just maybe what changed in my behavior or in my way of seeing a book or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that kind of stuff actually. Fact number one is that I used to say I will never read several books at the same time. Then BookTube and Bookstagram happened. So let me explain you. Since I joined the community, I met so many amazing people, and I was like, okay, this one wanted to do a buddy read, the other one wanted to do a read along, and the other one wanted to do like a marathon or whatever, you know, a readathon. So I was like, okay, but they all at the same time, or pretty much, so I'm gonna read that for that part, and then I'm gonna read that book for that, so I'm not late on anything, you know what I mean? That's why I started to read several books at the same time. Usually I won't do that because it's not something I'm comfortable with, not because I cannot remember what's happening in each book, it's just that I know that's insane, but I feel bad for the book. So I try not to do that. So yeah, maybe the point number two will be connected to point number one, is actually that sometimes I feel like I have to finish some books, I have to read those books, and sometimes you can feel that useless pressure on yourself and you're just like, okay, chill, reading is a hobby. You don't need to pressure yourself, or you don't need to force yourself, or it's not because you're late on a book and that everyone has read it that you have to read it. You know what I mean? Like, chill, do whatever you want and have fun. Like, don't put pressure on yourself. And I know that sounds stupid or whatever, but this is something that a lot of us forget. And also I put pressure on myself. I keep saying that, but I do put pressure on myself, especially because there is a readathon coming, there is a read along, there is a buddy read, and there is the book of the month for the Time Turner book club. So you know what I mean? So I put pressure on myself, even if I think it's useless, but in some way it's also fun because I try to push myself, I try to improve myself, I try to be really involved in that community, and I try to be like really a part of something. I want to interact with people, so I put pressure on myself and I feel it, but it's not that good, you know what I mean? Like, all the time it's not that good, but can be fun, can be very hard to handle, but you need to find a balance. And I'm a Libra, so I never find a balance. So when I started BookTube, I was like trying to make very professional book reviews, you know what I mean? So if you go down and see my very old videos, you will see a lot of reviews, and you will see that I'm kind of analyzing each character, analyzing the way they talk, the way they think, analyzing the writing style, if it was like unique, if it was logic, if it was believable, and the word building, etc, etc, etc. And I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. But the fact is that nowadays, I mean now, I prefer to read a book because the book is enjoyable than because the book is well written, if that makes any sense. I want to read a book that's gonna make me laugh, that's gonna make me have like a good time, you know, getting attached to the character, or maybe just want that book to be read by everyone. So I don't want just a book that's super well written, that's perfect, or you know what I mean? I just want something enjoyable. So I try to review books differently now, so more on how much I enjoyed it and how much it was believable, but how much it was like I had a fun time reading it. I hope you enjoy that kind of reviews, because I really enjoy watching some very deep reviews of books, but as my way of seeing a book has changed today, I prefer just the enjoyable part. Also, I used to tab my books so much, like so much. I've never annotated my books or write in my books because that's something I cannot do. Even for uni or whatever, I couldn't write in the books, and nowadays it's still the case, so I don't do that. But as I said, I used to tap my books. I don't do it very often now, or I do it in a different way. So let me show you. So this is The Last Days of Magic by Mark Tompkins. Really good book, by the way. And that's how I used to tap my books. So, see? And now, this book is actually tapped because it's inside. You see all the little colors? Because as I am very active on Bookstagram, I want my books to be picturable, if that makes any sense. I'm creating words, but whatever. And I don't want all the taps to be visible, so I tap them inside. But what I keep doing is having like a notebook next to me and writing whatever I feel like writing about that book. Good stuff, bad stuff, if I laughed, what I thought about that character, what happened, if it was logic, if I enjoyed it, if that made any sense or whatever, you know what I mean? So I keep doing that, but in a different way. And now I'm kind of more organized, because usually I will just write that on a sheet of paper, and now I do that in a book note, so I can keep track also of what I've read that month and actually how I felt while reading that book. Because sometimes I'm like, a week after reading the book, I'm like, yeah, it was really good, I enjoyed it. And actually when reading my notes, I'm like, oh, okay, but that bothered me, that bothered me. Okay, so it's gonna help me to make a review of that book. Something that I used to say, and I keep saying that, is that I'm not into romance. I'm not into contemporary. I'm not into blah blah blah. And I still do that, but since I've joined BookTube, Bookstagram, I mean the community, I just typed myself, I try to not say that. Because, for instance, Sadie by Courtney Summers is something that I will not go for. I will be at the bookstore and I will not try to read even the synopsis, because I would know that this is kind of mystery, contemporary, blah blah blah. And now with all my book box subscription, I have the opportunity to try different books that I would not go for in a bookstore. I'm really grateful for that, and especially because I met so many amazing people here. That's also a point. I met so many amazing people here, then sometimes they know what I like and they're like, okay, I know you're not into that kind of stuff, but I really think you should read that because of that. And I really love that. I'm really grateful for that. And that makes me happy to try different stuff. That makes me happy that sometimes I fell in love with a new kind of books, etc. I think that joining the community opened like my book spectrum, whatever the word or the expression is. I will say that I grew up with BookTube and Bookstagram because I'm not like stuck. I'm more like open-minded than I was before, book-wise, so yeah. Also, something that I tried at the very beginning of my channel for the first time was audiobooks. And I believe the first audiobooks I've listened to is this one, The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. This was the first book I've read written by Leigh Bardugo. So I've listened to that book before reading any of her books. So I know some people say, oh, okay, you did it backwards. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But I don't think it was spoilery or whatever, because it's just like a book about all the tales in other books, you know what I mean? Like, but I really enjoyed it, and I think that's the one who got me into audiobooks. I think audiobooks are a great way to help you kill some books from your TBR. I listen to audiobooks, for instance, while driving, while cleaning, while taking pictures for Instagram, while cooking, laundry, blah blah blah, grocery shopping. It helps me killing some books from my TBR, to be honest, and I enjoy them. But I still have an issue. I don't know how to rate them, because for instance, I'm currently listening to a book, blah blah blah, I'm not enjoying it, and I don't know if it's because I don't like the narrator or because I just don't like the book. I still struggle to find a way that works for me on, you know, rating an audiobook. If you have any advice on that, thank you. Also, since I've joined the community, when I wake up in the morning and I tweet something or a story or whatever, I'm like, good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever, because time zone. I've met so many amazing people from all around the world, and I'm so grateful for that. But sometimes I'm just like, what time is it actually? This was just a little detail. It's not like really booktube or bookstagram related, but that's how I feel and I really love it. Also something I've learned, so many new words: read along, buddy read, readathon, TBR, DNF, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Because when you start booktube and you're like, okay, TBR, yeah. And sometimes then in real life, not that this is fake life, but you know what I mean, I'm like, yeah, that book is on my TBR, and people are like, on your what? And for me, reading is not something you do by yourself. It's not something you do alone anymore, because better read, because read along, because whatever. And I feel like before, reading was just an activity that I could only do alone by myself in my bed and talking to no one about it. Whenever I read a book now, I know that I'm not alone anymore, that I will have people to talk about that book after. I don't know how to explain that, but I don't read really that differently. But yes, I do read differently because I know I'm gonna talk about that with people who have read that book. Yeah, and thanks to the community, I have officially a never-ending TBR. This is such a cliche, but this is so true. Oh, to be honest, there is also something else. Like, each time I'm gonna buy a book, I'm gonna already picture in my head how to take a picture of that book for my Bookstagram account. This is so bad because don't judge a book by its cover, but we kind of do that, and people are paid to make you want to buy a book because of the cover. So I'm not ashamed anymore of saying that I judge a book by its cover all the time. I've never bought that many books online than now. So I'm in Belgium, we don't have like thousands of different stores with books in English. I have one, Waterstones, downtown Brussels. As you probably know, I hate Brussels, so I never go downtown. And I went there once since I started this channel. So that tells you a lot. So I buy pretty much all of my books on Book Depository. So yeah, it's cheaper, it's super fast, and have so many books, and it's very easy to use. So I love Goodreads so much. Wolves, as you can see, this was a very chill video. If you have anything to add, please do it and comment it down below, because I would love to know what changed in your behavior or in your way of doing stuff since you've joined the community, because I'm a very curious person. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you're not a member of the pack yet, please subscribe and join us. Talk to me in the comments as usual, and see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.